So we're gonna jump to page 45 here. We're almost done with these types of questions. We'll move on to scatter ones next. Okay, so if we're working on this question here, so make that a little bit thinner. So I want to draw a graph that shows the cost of a member of being a member for 1, 5, and 10 months. So I'll just turn the music off, please. So this question here is saying that there's a fitness center. So like, so they say Get Fit, but Good Life Fitness, whatever. A fitness center charges $75 to join. So it has an upfront cost. And then you pay $25 per month to be a member. So it wants us to draw a graph of this, and eventually we're going to have to figure out the equation of that. So what I'm going to do, first thing I always do is I am going to make myself my table of values, right? That's always our first step, is I need points to plot to make a graph. Eventually, we're going to be able to do this without the graph entirely. So I need two things in order to plot. What two things could I put here? Is it like time and money? Is it, what is it? So there's the charge and then the month, and the month is what? Month is a measure of time. So I'm doing it in time, which is months. So you're right. I'm going to put, oh, that's not Tim. We're going to do it in time. So we're doing it in times. I'm putting M there for months. And then my other one you said was charge, which is measured in money, in dollars. Yeah. And so so we know our two variables now. Now I need to know which one of these is going to be my X, which one's going to be my Y. If you remember, the independent variable is the one that goes on your X. That's the one that goes on the bottom. Sorry? You think it's time? Yeah, it is time. You're right. So yeah, time is my X, and then this is my Y. So this is a little confusing, right? We normally do X, Y, X, Y. Now we're doing Y, X. So sometimes you want to figure that X, Y first. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that when we go to plot this. We've now changed the order of this Y and this X. It's supposed to be X, Y. I got a little ahead of myself with this graph. So we've reversed it, but that's okay. But anyways, so on the first month, how much does this cost this person? $75. Yeah, because they haven't actually paid for the month yet, but they did have to pay to join. So they cost them $75. And then how much does it cost after the first month? Sorry? 150. So remember, it's $75 to join, and then it's 25 per month. So it's not 150. Yeah, it's $100, right? Because I'm added on that $25 to that 75. Yeah, then 125 and so on and so forth, right? You don't need to put a lot of stuff here, just a bit. Oh, sorry. So they want us, yeah, they want us to do 1, 5, and 10. So you don't need to do the 2 and the 3 if they don't ask you to. You can if you want, but I'm just going to go straight now to the 5 and straight to the 10. So how do I figure out how much it's going to cost after 5 months? Sorry? Not 75, because remember, 75 is how much it costs us to. Sorry, one more time. So it's 25 times. So oops, mode. Oh, sorry guys, for your calculators, to go back, you want to just press mode and go to normal in case you're using your calculator. So what I want to do is, I know it's $25 per month, and there's 5 months. $125 plus the $75 to join, right? So after 5 months, it's $200. And so after 10 months, again, it's $25 per month. So $25 times the 10 months, plus that $75. Whole thing cost me $325. Cool. Mode 0. So I'm going to quickly plot my stuff on my graph. Remember, we've reversed the order. So I want you now just really quickly build the graph. Drawing the graph is not the skill you're being measured on the test, so don't worry too much about that. It's being able to read it. So I'm really going to quickly just build my graph. And then this one's the dollars. I'm going to go up by $25 because for 325 divided by our 15 squares gives me $21 and a couple cents. So I'm just going to go to a nice easy number, which is 25s, because this works in 25s. Is that big enough on your screen, by the way? Yeah. Is that working? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So I'm just going to really quickly plot my stuff here. So I know that on the zero, oh, sorry, I need to do this. What does that need? 10 months? Sure. Let's just do 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly start plotting my points. So on the 0 month, on 0 months, I pay $75. On the first month, I pay $100. And then it's going to keep going up like that. Third month, I pay $125. On the fifth month, pay $200. So first off, before you even draw a line, because this is a skill you're going to get measured on, do you think this is a straight line? So we think it's going to be a straight line. Now, how can I know for sure that it's going to be a straight line? Yeah, so you can pick two. You could do, don't write this down. You could do this y2 minus y1 all over x2 minus x1, and you could do that between two of these points, because then what you're measuring there is if the slope is the same. What we could also do is, why don't we just take a look at our stuff and make sure it goes up by $25 each time? Because if that's the case, if it goes up by $25 each time, your slope's the same. So does this one go up by 25 each time? Oh, sorry. It literally does, yeah. That doesn't always do that though, but that's how you would check it. You check to make sure that it goes up by the same amount every single time. It goes up by $25 for every one it goes up. Yeah. So this is in fact a straight line. Sorry. Sure. Do you want to wait till after though? Thank you. Okay, so this, you should have a nice straight line here. Mine, of course, is awful because I can't make straight lines, but. So anyways, what we've done is we've made ourselves a straight line, we've graphed it, cool. What we need to do now though is, the graph is the easy part. The hard part is looking at a graph, looking at a table of values and be like, I can figure out an equation from this. So if we want to write an equation for this, so what's the equation of aligning it? That's the one for slope. That's for slope. That's to find the slope from a graph. So you're getting closer. Oh, you're saying something, Aiden? Yeah. So y equals mx plus b. This will be given to you on your final exam. That will be a formula you are given, but you need to understand it. Like you will use it enough that you will eventually memorize it. But that's the formula we use. This is the blank formula for a slope. So I put my formula in. Step 2 is I need to substitute what I know. I don't know this stuff, do I? So now this is where it gets hard. I need to look at this information and I need to figure out what the M is, what the slope is, and what the y-intercept is. So how can I figure out? So I'm gonna put this here. So I'm gonna do M. That's my slope. How can I figure out what my slope is? Technically, those are both looking at rise over run, but so let's look at what we have. So I have a graph and I have a table of values. I can use either one of these to figure out what that slope is. I can do that. Yeah, I can use that for my graph here. So what? There's a couple different ways to come to this answer. So I know that in this case, I could just do y2 minus y1 subtract is all divided by x2 minus x1. That'll work, sure. So I'm just going to take 2 points. We could use those, yeah. So let's use those 2 points. I'll put them in green, the ones that we're going to use. I can use those 2 points, sure. So what would be my y2? 150, right? Because it's the second y I see there. So it'd be the 150, which is the y2, minus the first y, which is 125. Yeah, and then it should be 3 subtract 2. So when I input that information in and when I simplify this, I should get 25 over 1, or just 25 as my slope. So cool. I've figured out my slope now. So on my equation, I'm going to fill that in. So y equals mx. I know what m is now. It's 25. So now the only thing I need to figure out is my b, which is my y-intercept. So how can I do that looking at this information over here? Why do you think it's 75? Sorry? Yeah, so you're super close. You're super close. It is 75. And I think I see what you're saying. The reason it is 75, so our y-intercept. Well, so you can figure it out. Well, okay, so like, it goes up by 25, and then this is the only thing that's left. But realistically, remember, the y-intercept is when it crosses this y-axis here. It's when it goes past this line. And so, sorry? So when it goes through this y-axis, when it crosses this line, that's your y-intercept. So I can see that when it's at 0 on my x, it's at 75 on my y. That means it is just 75. And all of a sudden I have my equation. You figure out your slope, and then you figure out your y-intercept when it crosses that line. Or if you didn't have this table, if you imagined that this table here, or sorry, this graph did not exist. If this graph didn't exist, and you only had this table of values, oh, my x is 0. This is the y that's 75 then. X is 0, this has to be it then, right? Because what this is, this whole line I'm drawing in black right now, that's x equals 0. That's your y-axis, remember? So when it goes past that line, when x is 0, that's what your y intercept is going to be. That's what your b is going to be. Then your y-intercept is 0. That's okay. That just means it goes past that. That just means it enters right here. You will see that at some point. Yeah. That's a good question. I like that. There we go. Okay. So cool. I have my formula. So now the next question it's asking you. So this is a really hard question, by the way. They want you to make a graph, they want you to analyze it, make an equation from it, and now they want you to use that equation to find something. So this is an example of a type of question you're going to see in March. So how much would it cost to be a member for 9 months? How could I figure that out? Do you think it's 300? How'd you figure that out? Sorry, say that again. You have that works. That works, sure. Oh, there's $300 right there. It doesn't always need to be some complicated math. Sometimes you can just look at it and figure out, oh, this is what it is. So yeah. Well, so you think it's $300? So let's find out. So if you don't have a graph, if you only had this table of values, you can get an equation from that. And with that equation, you can just substitute stuff in. So now I have my equation. Y equals 25x plus 75. So what does my x mean on this graph? Well, that's what we're going to do with it. But what on the graph? What's on the x-axis? Months. Yeah, 9 months, right? So instead of x there, I know I'm in here for 9 months. I'm just going to put 9. 25 times 9, because there's 9 months plus the $75. It's your $25 a month for being a member for 9 months, and then you add the $75 fee on top of that. So yeah, if we actually add all this up, we should get a total answer here of $300. Oops. 25 times 9. So yeah, Jasmine's right, $300. That's how much it would cost. I would say wait 5 more minutes. So I want you guys to now I want you to do question 11 on your own. I will come take a look in 1 minute. I care a lot less about the graph part. I care a lot more about question B and question C. Frankly, if you can get the tables of values right and you can do the rest of it without it, you don't even need to draw a graph. But if you're not sure, draw the graph. So question 11, I want you to do that after question 11, Kim. How about that? Okay. After question 11, then yes, you can go make coffee. Have you? Oh, you could have totally lied to me there. So I'll come check on our progress in 1 minute because I realized I forgot to do attendance. And how are things going on your end there, Lindsay?
They're good, I think.
Okay. So your graph should eventually look something kind of like this. It doesn't need to be exactly that. I know some of you started at like 4 or 5 or 6 degrees plus Celsius. That's okay. But your graph should look something like that, where it goes down at a very consistent pace, right? It goes down at the exact same rate. You done? So if we want to find the slope of this, we use that formula, and we can take 2 points from our graph. It doesn't matter which ones, you just pick any 2 of them that you'd like. In this specific case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this red point here and this red point here. You don't have to pick those, but I'm just going to pick those because the first ones I see. And remember, you read it from left to right. Okay, you read this graph from left to right. So as we go down this graph from left to the right, this is the ones I see. This is the first point. So that's your X1, Y1. I keep going down the graph. This is the second point that I see. So that's my 2. So I have my 1s and I have my 2s here. So that's so in this case, my Y2 was what was that? That was 0. So I'm taking 0, subtract the 1.5 from my X1. Again, your points might be different. That's okay. As long as you're doing as long as you're doing Y2 minus Y1. And then you do X2 minus X1. So now I'm going to go, it is 6 p.m. minus 5 p.m. 6 minus 5. Now, if you did negatives up here, that works. You just need to be really careful with those negatives and how you put that in your calculator if you're not 100% sure on how that works out. But you should end up with a slope of negative 1.5 on the top and then just a positive 1 on the bottom, which is the same thing as, hey, your slope is just 1.5 or negative 1.5 over 1. So what this really means is that your temperature decreases, the temperature goes down 1.5 degrees for every hour. So I have my slope. Perfect.
Or like,
oh, yes.
basically tells you what your slope is without doing the equation. Do you have to do the equation every time?
No, like sometimes you can tell just by looking at it. That's okay. You're not going to need to calculate the actual, you're not going to need to show your work for this on your final exam. You're just going to need to know how to find the slope. And you could do that by looking at the picture, looking at the table of values, or by doing the equation. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes you can just tell just by looking at it, and other times you might need to actually do the equation. It depends on like the data that's in the graph and how good like you're able to recognize the pattern. Because that's all this is. It's just recognizing the pattern, right? You're just looking for that consistent amount that it goes up each time. That's assuming it's a straight line anyways. If it's not a straight line, you need to calculate it this way. So next question here is, what will the temperature be at 10 p.m.? Well, here's what I know. I do know that it decreases. So it decreases 1.5 degrees every single hour. If your table went long enough, you'd eventually see that it goes down to negative 6 degrees Celsius. Right? Oh, I see what you're saying. What will the temperature be at it was. It will be. It will be negative 6 degrees Celsius. And then question B, do you think this trend would continue all night? Well, it's just an approximation, but the temperature is not going to go down forever and ever, right? The temperature goes back up when the sun rises again. So and that's fair too. It's not a very clear question. So as long as you had some type of reason, that's okay there. But you know, would it continue? It's possible. It might. We don't know, but we know once it's morning again, it's going to start rising back up again. At least that's a good assumption to make. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you about 15 to 20 more minutes just to keep on working on this, we're going to go. We're going to go to our next topic after that. So you get about 15 to 20 minutes to keep working on some of this stuff. Question 12 is a really good one. If you can do question 12, you're pretty much exam. Where's question 12? Yeah, if you can do question 12, you're pretty much exam ready, to be honest with you. So you get a couple minutes here to keep practicing the skill, and then we're going on to something called scatter plot factor. I'm going to stop that one.